Good afternoon and welcome to everyone joining us today. Today's presentation of Market Insights, Industry Intel for 2022 is being presented to you by International Market Centers. And I'm Kimberly Porter, the Senior Programming Manager for IMC. For those who may be new to our presentations, International Market Centers serves as the center of commerce for the furniture, gift, home decor, bedding, design, and apparel industries, bringing buyers and sellers from all over the world together through physical markets in Atlanta, Georgia, High Point, North Carolina, Las Vegas, Nevada, and online through our digital Juniper market. Our monthly market insights are an extension of our on-site and virtual programming and bring you relevant content for businesses. For more information about upcoming markets, we have April. We have some in Atlanta and some in High Point coming up. And then we have our summer markets as well. Juniper is going year round and is open to everyone. Please check our website. And as I mentioned, today's CEO accredited Market Insights is covering the topic of Industry Intel for 2022 and is in partnership with Furniture Today. Leading the discussion as moderator will be Bill McLoughlin, Editor-in-Chief of Furniture Today. And joining as our guest will be Kimberley Seldon, founder and owner of Business of Design, Ken Smith, partner at Smith Leonard PLLC, Mary Liz Curtin, shopkeeper, speaker, business therapist, writer, and co-owner of Leon and Lulu, and Sheila Long O'Mara, executive editor at Furniture Today. I want to thank you all for joining us, and we look forward to the discussion. Bill, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks very much, Kimberly. It's nice to be here today. It's nice to be with all of you. There's nothing I enjoy more than a good conversation about the furniture business. Why don't we just kind of go around and just get a sense of how everyone is doing. And Ken, I'd like to start with you if we could, because I think you can provide some valuable context to this discussion today. Through your Furniture Insights work, you really have a good pulse on shipping, orders, backlogs, those kinds of things. Can you give me or give all of us your sense of what are some of the key issues that you're seeing that furniture folks are dealing with right now? Ken, you're muted. For those of you who missed it, Ken was brilliant there. He was just absolutely on target with those comments. Try it again.
Sorry, you missed it. What we're really seeing is it's a complex situation in that business has been really good. I think it's really surprised everyone, but it's created a lot of supply chain issues. Anything from getting product from overseas to getting raw materials here in the U.S., especially labor issues, lots of freight issues, little things. One of the stories I heard from one of our clients was that they almost had to shut their upholstery lines down because they couldn't get twine. Now, you know, we've heard about shortages in some of the foam and other things, but when you can't get twine, and it was really more a matter of it was their supplier. It wasn't that there was a shortage of twine. It was just that their supplier was out. So we're what's happened there is with business as good as it is, and with some of the issues we've got, it's created massive backlogs, and the backlogs are really to a point that they're troubling to most everyone. As one of my clients said the other day, I hate to say this, but I would almost wish things would slow down just a little. And that's almost like, you know, saying really bad words, but we've just never been in this kind of situation before, especially in my career. And I've been at it for a long time, and we've always needed more business. And I think it's been very interesting to see how it has grown, and it's been across so many different lines. It's almost everything. And the designers are having trouble getting product. The retailers are having trouble getting product. And really, if the retailers have product now and it's not sold, it probably means it's old and not going to sell very well. But when we sell out October market samples and don't discuss what discounts those are going to be, that tells you that we need product pretty bad. Now you're muted.
See that? Kimberly, Ken mentioned the difficulty getting product. There's that, and the other issue that we've seen is price increases. How is the availability of product and the price that that product is at impacting the way that you're working with clients, and how are they dealing with it from their perspective?
Yeah, everything Ken said is true. Like, business just couldn't be busier. And as an interior design professional, I think sometimes my job is to just manage the client's expectations and let them know that we don't have any magic route to availability over suppliers and those suppliers and vendors that we rely on, right? So we have to trust our suppliers and vendors to tell us the truth when we're ordering product. And, everything is more expensive. Everything is taking longer. And so if you just lead with that honest assessment of things and let clients know, if you don't want to renovate this year, I totally understand. We could wait 2 years because we all know that this will be cyclical, right? What goes up comes down. We can wait 2 years, or you can pay these premium prices because this is what we're dealing with right now. And thankfully, most clients are saying, I'll just go ahead and pay it because we want it. And my business has been going well also. And just one thing I want to put in everybody's ear, because I would love to know your thoughts on this. One thing I'm hearing 2 years into COVID and booming business from other design professionals is a feeling that maybe our suppliers and vendors aren't always being honest with us. We didn't hear that last year, but I'll give you an example. We ordered some tiles for a bathroom and we limited our selection process to only items in stock, readily available. And we ordered, and then as soon as the order went through, oh, now these are delayed until April. And it's happened quite a few times. So is it that the vendor was caught off guard, or did they kind of hoodwink us into buying something? I kind of worry about the seeds of mistrust that might be getting planted during this time. What's that going to mean to our relationships when it slows down? Anyway, I'm just throwing that out to all of you to hear your thoughts.
Well, I can speak from the furniture manufacturer perspective. I don't know about tile, but a frequent conversation that we have at Furniture Today with manufacturers is unexpected shortages of employees, which means difficulty getting things out of the warehouse, right? So even though it looked like production was starting to pick up, depending on where you source, if you're in Vietnam and there's a COVID outbreak, it shuts down right away, which means all of those employees are locked down. There's difficulty getting product out of the port. So you may have product that's on a ship, it gets into the port, but then it takes extra time. So I can't speak to the veracity of your individual tile supplier, but I can tell you that from our perspective, manufacturers are constantly telling us how difficult it is to keep that steady supply and how many unexpected things. Sheila, why don't I throw this to you? You just came back from Las Vegas market, talking to the bedding folks. And then Mary Liz, I'd like to get your take on this too. But Sheila, what were you hearing, since we're on the manufacturer side, what were you hearing out in Vegas from the bedding folks?
So bedding manufacturers there's still some log jam in the process, but they're not nearly what they were a year or so ago. And they're working through some of those supply chain issues with components and materials. Price increases are still there. They're going to be here for a while. But it seems like the log jam of getting product flowing and off the manufacturing floor into retail stores has gotten smaller, not quite back to normal, but it's not quite at the 6 weeks that we were seeing early on in the pandemic, especially last year.
Mary Liz, what are you finding in terms of your ability to get timely supply at?
Timely? What's this word timely? I don't know from timely anymore. We've responded to this by being massively overstocked in every single department in the store. We've got a warehouse full of sofas, and I'll have a lady come in and say, oh, I love this. Does it come in other fabrics? she chooses one, says, well, when can I get that? And I say, well, like Labor Day, maybe of this year, possibly. And then she says, gee, I like that one you have on the floor. Maybe that's the sofa for me. And it's the first time that we've really seen the press helping us, because everyone knows that there are shortages. Everyone knows coming into it that we aren't the only store who can't get them anything. Nobody else can either. And I don't feel any mistrust towards our vendors. I think what happens to them is the same thing that happens to us. Son of a bitch, I forgot to order the twine. No one knew I needed twine. You could always just go down to the hardware store and get twine. All of a sudden there's no twine, and twine stops the whole process. We had a problem with price tags. We were out of stickers, crazy stuff that you just never think you can't get. And all of a sudden there's a 6-week delay. So I think we're just not aware. As we went through every single thing that we buy here and bought a lot of it, and we still missed a few things. But with the prices going up, every time the prices go up, I think, well, I made money because all the stuff in my warehouse just appreciated dramatically. So it's a funny game right now, but the consumers are really being pretty gracious about it because they know it's true, and they hear enough in the news about all the different halts to the process that they're not suspicious or upset unduly. Unbelieving, but
You raised an interesting point there about the absence of one piece or part throws the whole thing. I was talking to an upholstery manufacturer last fall, and they had, I believe the number was 800 sofas sitting on the side, fully made, all ready to go, just waiting for cushions. So literally, you have this process of just-in-time manufacturing. Everything comes in, it moves through the process, and all of a sudden, all of this stuff has to be removed from the production line and tucked off somewhere so that you can get one component, right? And then you have to work that back into your flow. Yeah.
I would make a comment on that one. It's sort of a funny story, not related to furniture, but it shows exactly how it's working around. We have a company here in town that makes these small box trucks, and they'll do trucks for like Coca-Cola and other delivery kind of trucks like that. And they make the chassis and the whole 9 yards. They were missing chips like all the automakers are. Well, they can't sit back and wait. So they started making all the chassis, and they would pull a chassis out onto the yard and take a chip out of it and take it back in and put it in another one so that they could pull it out on the yard. And they're having to take chips one at a time so that they could move the chassis out. So the same thing happens in furniture, but it's happening in more than just our world too.
I'd like to get a sense, and Mary Liz, we'll start with you this time, price increases. Obviously, the inventory that you have, you purchased at this price, you can now sell here, but the new inventory coming in, I mean, I've heard stories of people who placed an order at this price, but because it was backlogged when it came, the price was here. And, there are 1, 2, 3 price increases before that ever hits the floor. How are you dealing with the price increases, and how are your customers? Do you find that they're receptive, that's a blind item, or are they trading themselves down and saying, well, that's what I'm going to spend no matter what? What's your sense of how folks are dealing with the prices?
I think it's such a wild world out there. They don't even think about the prices. It might seem to be too much. They don't seem to understand that sofa last year was $500 less. That's just not, because they weren't looking last year. So on furniture, it just is the new prices. We look at it and go, holy smokes, how can we possibly bump it that high? On the small goods, again, everybody knows everything is going up. We've had great personnel costs because we've had stuff that we've had to de-sticker and re-sticker 3 times this year as vendors continue to lift the prices. And if you carry a couple thousand SKUs of something, that's a lot of, well, that's why we ran out of stickers. So we're struggling through it, and it's, but the price resistance has not been that high. I don't think in the gift and the home area, people are as upset about it as they are in the toilet paper aisle or the bacon aisle or someplace where they know how much it was last week.
Don't raise the price.
If there was toilet paper last week, which is a whole different issue.
That's true. Kimberly, how are your clients dealing with price increases? Do they recognize them?
Yeah, well, what Mary Liz said is absolutely true. They're really being pretty gracious about it and they're rolling with it. But we're seeing, not just in terms of the individual pieces of furniture that was selling clients, but our trade prices are through the roof, like 30% higher to construct and build versus 2 years ago. That's a pretty big hit. But they're feeling all the things that you've all commented on. They can't get additional help. When they do have staff, somebody gets COVID and it shuts the entire production line down. Or I guess if there's twine missing and they're waiting for that one part, right? You can't finish renovating the sauna if you don't have the tile to put on the floor. So it's a domino effect. And I think it's absolutely true what Mary Liz says. The media is really doing us a favor because you hear about it all the time. The clients are just like, well, I guess I understand that's how it is. But, also, isn't it time prices went up? Like, right? I mean, I'm hoping there's not going to be an adjustment in terms of furniture prices where we can't pay so little for something that requires so much attention and skill to be built.
It is remarkable that you can buy a bedroom set for less than an iPhone.
Right.
And you keep the bedroom set a lot longer. The iPhone, you have to buy a new one in 18 months.
Yeah.
True.
So maybe that won't go backwards. Let's hope not.
And this industry, we've been selling $4.99 sofas, $4.99 recliners forever.
One of the things, I'm not in it like you guys are, so I just follow numbers around with clients and whatnot. But I've always said it's amazing to me that we sell everything on price when the consumer doesn't have a clue what it ought to cost. And I've proven that several times in talking with reporters and whatnot. But I think the one thing that this thing has proven that I use all the time is sort of the thing that proves my point. We've sold on price so long. We've sold on these $4.99 sofas. Well, guess what? Those guys selling $4.99 sofas have finally figured out they can sell them for $8.99. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
One of the other problems with the price increases is the sneaky ones, and it's become so difficult to buy because you don't actually know what you're going to pay for it. You buy the sofa, it's $1,000 wholesale. Well, then there's a freight cost. The freight's going to come up. Then all of a sudden there's a container cost. We'll get an invoice with 3 additions on it for different versions of everything except a resort fee, my other least favorite thing. And it's hard for us to know what to price things, or things will slide in the small goods. Our receivers don't notice that all of a sudden there's a extra 10% tastefully tacked at the bottom of the invoice that doesn't show up in the line items. And that's been a real challenge to stay on top of that and keep things where they're supposed to be.
That's interesting. We see that, but I didn't realize that you guys saw that ahead of us, that also happened to you.
It's
So
happening.
We add those things on to clients after the fact. We just say, we got hit with this payment and handling fee or shipping fee, freight fee, duty free, cutting fee.
That's fine with a big piece. It's easy to track. It's the little stuff like pot holders or dish towels or Christmas ornaments. Christmas ornaments are a nightmare because so much of the cost of those is in freight. So prices have gone crazy on anything with any size. The little teeny ones are still reasonable because they can pack more of them on a container. But it's not knowing what am I going to, if I'm buying this Christmas ornament, a very bright buyer told me once you make your money on Christmas when you buy it, not when you sell it. We have to have huge margins in it to take care of the breakage and the shrinkage and the markdown and all the rest of it. We don't really know what our margins are going to be next year because we're not quite sure what those bottom line things are. And I can't hold that $3 ornament and think I can get $10 for it because I don't know what's going to be between that 3 and the 10. It's an interesting time for all that.
So we're almost talking about price increases in the past tense. But Sheila, I'm going to let you be the bearer of bad news. The talk at Vegas, right?
Here to stay. They're here to stay. And I think there are more coming on the horizon based on conversations that I had. And when all of this first started, you would see manufacturers kind of take a deep breath and say, no, we're going to give you a 10% increase or a 5% increase or whatever it was. And now there's no about it. It's just like, this is what it is. And I think to the point that you made, Mary Liz, and you, Kimberly, is that consumer media is talking so much about inflation, talking so much about the price of milk going through the roof, eggs going up, everything costs more. That is no longer a surprise. And it's not one manufacturer, it's all of the manufacturers, all of the product suppliers. In conversations as far as mattresses and sleep products go, a lot of the manufacturers who are making mattresses, you know, that for $5.99, $6.99, $7.99 has been the sweet spot for so long for so many producers that there are a lot of companies now saying, we're not even bringing product to market to retail under $1,000. So to Ken's point, consumers don't really know how much a mattress should cost because they haven't bought one in way too long. You know, they should replace an 8, but that's not the case. It's 15 years or longer. They don't know how much a mattress is supposed to cost until retailers, designers tell them. So if they continue to hear it's $8.99, $7.99, whatever that point is for your store, that's what they think a mattress should cost. And you're going to have a hard time finding that.
And one of the things that you track in your regular Furniture Insights, and for folks who don't get to read it, you should sign up for Smith Leonard does Furniture Insights, really valuable industry resource. One of the things that you track is consumer confidence. And I think everyone is trying to figure out, when does consumer demand level off? Where does it plateau? How do we forecast the future? What is your sense of, just from your perspective and your experience, what's your sense of how consumers feel and how they will continue to feel as we move through the year?
It's muted.
I'm seeing great confidence in the consumers. They're really excited about shopping. They're excited about being out again. They're happy about, you know, going out to lunch with the girls and doing a little shopping. And a lot of people have Zoomed and looked at how horrible their houses look on Zoom, and they're cleaning up their act. So we see, you know, a real interest in the home, and I expect that to continue. My worry is also in the home goods. At one point, will pretty much everybody have a new sofa? You know, they're buying them like crazy. When are we going to hit? But we're just keeping a full warehouse, because I think that that's certainly paid off for us, having way too much stuff, because we can deliver and we can get it to you now.
You know,
And then we'll see.
On the consumer confidence thing, I think it's been pretty amazing to me that it has held as strong as it is. You know, we get all excited because it goes down a little bit one month, but if you look at it, we're at pretty much record highs. I think the one thing that I've thought about in terms of, has everybody got their sofa? We did some refurbishing at the house through a bathroom and a kitchen, and you know, it's amazing. There is no end. You know, you buy a new sofa, you got to have new tables, and you got tables, you got to have something else, and then all of a sudden it's drapes, or then it's accessories, or it's whatever. And it's a never-ending thing. I mean, you know, we got this thing that we put our TV on in the den. I mean, it's been sitting on it for a long time, and it works just fine. I can see it. You know, we need a new one. Really? I mean, it's a piece of case goods, but it's, and by the way, it's white, and we want a new white one. So, you know, it's not even colors. So I don't know. I don't think we'll ever run out, as long as you have a broad, you know, if you're a sofa warehouse and all you're selling sofas, you may have that problem, but confidence has remained strong. And this inflation stuff, I think it's going to start affecting us as these gas prices continue to get out of whack, because that is something that people are feeling every day. And, you know, the toilet paper gets you, but the things that we don't buy every day don't bother you as much. But that's stuff that we're eating into people's pocketbooks. And, you know, it gets pretty interesting when my truck starts taking $75 worth instead of $50. And I think we've got to get real with what we can do with those kinds of things. But, you know, we got a lot of issues going on in the country, but confidence just, for whatever reason, has continued to stay high. And if you look at all the indicators, everybody seems, all the economists, I mean, they're always wrong too, but they all seem to think that 2022 is going to continue on. I did a presentation at Market for Lazy Boy, and one of the things they had asked about was what's 2022 look like? What's 2023 look like? And so I polled a bunch of clients as well as some other people I know in the industry, and asked them all those same questions. And one of the most interesting ones was, I think 2022 will be fine as long as Washington doesn't do anything. And it was like, do anything. So, and that seems to be about where we are. They do a lot of talking, not necessarily. And I'm trying to advise clients on tax issues, and I can't tell you what to do about estate taxes, what to do about whether you're a C Corp or an S Corp, because I don't know what the new rules are going to be.
Kimberly, you talked early on about when people got locked in their house, they looked at things, wanted to decorate it, right? As they're starting to get back out, and Mary Liz talked about, people want to get out. They want to go have lunch with the girls, lunch with the guys. The movies are now open again. Theaters are now open again, right? They can go to sporting events. So do you see any sense that the share of wallet that furniture and decorating captures with your clients is changing? Or do you anticipate that share of wallet changing this year?
Maybe I'm naive, but I am not anticipating it changing. I think what happened is people stayed home and realized, you know what, it actually does matter what this place looks like. And now people are starting to come back over. So you maybe have had 2 years where nobody's been to your house, but now people are going to actually come into your house, and you no longer just have one little square foot that you're editing for Zoom. They're actually going to see your living room. So I'm just anticipating that feeling of my surroundings, my aesthetic surroundings, and the function of the home that I live in is really important. And I think that's going to stay with everybody for a long, long time. I just don't think they're going to lose that.
Let's remember that since we've been stuck in our homes, we put some mileage on that furniture. So,
yeah,
we've beaten stuff up. The kids have put their feet up on everything. That we've dropped pizza. You know what's happened.
Yeah,
and people are ready to fix that now.
Yeah, and how many people are buying cottages, lake houses, cabins, so it's not just the primary home anymore. A lot of people realize, especially if you're living in an urban environment, and that's where all of our projects are, Toronto and Los Angeles. People want a house in the country with land after what just happened. It's like, oh gosh, I got to get out of the city. So
how cool is it though that for our industry that people are really zeroing in on their home environment and how to live beautiful lives at home, where typically it's just something, oh, that's okay, nobody sees that, or it doesn't matter. They're now investing in themselves and their living environment. I just think that's cool and exciting.
Absolutely. Mary Liz, we've been talking a lot about furniture and furniture and furniture. I think you probably have a little broader perspective in that furniture is a portion of your store, but there's so much more going on there. I'm curious if there are certain segments of your business that you've seen have changed because of COVID, that maybe were a little slow before, but have taken off, or that were once really rock stars and have plateaus. Would you look across the breadth?
Well, everybody needs new pants. Everybody's coming in, nothing fits anymore. So we've had a wonderful uptick in the clothing business. They're out of their sweatpants and people are looking for party dresses again. So that's been good. The home entertaining business was kind of quiet. People weren't obviously having parties, so we weren't selling the things that support parties. But all in all, the cheap and cheerful stuff continues to sell. We sold a lot of that during the pandemic, boxes that would go to friends or to the grandkids or somebody with just a lot of silly stuff in it. And people still are appreciating the fun junk. The book business is good. All across the board, our business is good. And I haven't really seen a downturn in anything. The restaurant business, we also have a restaurant. And aside from the cook situation, which is poor, if anyone would like to learn to cook, I've got a job for you. Aside from the cook situation, people are anxious to go out and they want to go out someplace where they think they're going to be somewhat safe. They're happy that we have spread the tables out and, you know, kept it charming, but somewhat safe. So I think that our business across all the different platforms, and I really hit it all. We have ready to wear, we have gourmet foods, we've got stuff from 75 cents to holy smokes, is that expensive? And we're selling all of it. So I don't see a department that's really going down.
So I'm being somewhat facetious, but I'm kind of surprised that pants are doing well in the Zoom era. I thought I had heard anecdotally that it was like tops are doing really well and nobody cares what's below the yellow line.
We did actually have a whole promotion at one point that we put pants on sale to remind people that they had to wear them. That was, we got some fun off of that. But people are looking to look good again. And many of us have lost, well, not I, but some people have lost weight or gained weight or just changed during the whole shutdown. See, customers.
I know she wants to buy the chair you're sitting in. Quick, make a deal.
I could get out of it in a hurry.
This has nothing to do with anything, but I went to a client meeting and I curled the front of my hair and I forgot about the back of my hair because Zoom. And I realized like halfway through, I'm like, oh my God. And I made a comment to her and she said, I thought that looked kind of funny.
That's
in your business, has COVID impacted whether it's the rooms, the styles, right? Sometimes people say, well, in down times, tough times, people like brighter colors. They want something to lift their mood. I've heard people talk about creating, safe spaces or contemplation spaces. Are you seeing anything that you could identify as COVID-related alterations in the way that people want to set up or decorate their homes?
I guess it's this idea that, wow, we could be stuck here for some period of time. And how can I set this up so my needs are met from a functional perspective? And so my spirit is fulfilled from an aesthetic perspective. So I think initially when we didn't know it was going to be 3 years later, kind of thing, people were phoning us in a panic with to-do list items like, I need a space heater outdoors and patio furniture because that's the only place I can see my family is outside. It was like panic, get that thing. And then that morphed into redo the whole house top to bottom. Might as well do it now because COVID's never going to end. Let's do the whole thing, right? So yeah, I think people suddenly had and maybe on some level too, it was kind of a reminder of your mortality. When I'm in my 80s, when I'm in my 90s, maybe I will be in my home for extended periods of time. And I want to make sure it has everything I need.
That's advanced planning.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people also interested in controlling their clutter and they've had the chaos of being at home and having stacks of stuff everywhere and not being able to get away from it. So I think I've seen customers who are looking for consoles with storage and what do I do with this and how do I get rid of this and how do I keep my house organized so I can get to my stuff but not surrounded by it and all my kids' stuff and my husband's junk and the dog and there's a lot of stuff.
And online school for children, just figuring out where to set them up and where to keep all their stuff. It's just crazy where it all comes from.
Sheila, I want to go back to the point that Kimberly was making about, it's kind of about wellness, right? And that because sleep is a really important part of wellness. Are you seeing bedding manufacturers change the tenor and tone of some of their marketing in a way that might suggest even more than they typically do, that there's a wellness approach, there's a wellness benefit to sleep?
Yes, there's more than a couple, but a couple of companies do come to mind immediately that specifically at the Vegas market, one company created a whole brand around aging in place. Kind of speaking to what Kimberly said, when you're older, you want walk-in showers and all of that stuff. So they built these mattresses and adjustable bed bases with softer corners because skin gets thinner as we age, right? So you save on the bruising, and easy lifts. So it elevates high to low. So you can get in and out of bed more safely. Really intentional design around products for them. And then another company specifically came up with a mattress collection to help fight antibacterial, antimicrobial. And that's not necessarily new to now since COVID. It's kind of been growing. But companies are starting to tailor their marketing plans and their marketing speak around sleep. And it's no longer be healthy to be well. It's not just about nutrition. It's not just about exercise. It's about getting the right amount of sleep for you each night so that you can function at the gym or you can function at your office and you can be your best self. So those conversations about sleep and it being part of that overall health and wellness, that drumbeat's getting louder and louder.
You know, one of the forerunners in that was the Westin hotels in their Heavenly Bed promotions. They were the first hotel chain to talk about the bed, not it's in a wonderful downtown and we have a great disco and there's a swimming pool. It was, you're going to sleep well here. You're going to feel great when you wake up. They did all their marketing around the Heavenly Bed for years. And I think that that was a big thing that helped us all realize that sleep is important.
Speaking of which, I need to nap.
I know.
Somebody's got to market their bedding with one of these meditation apps, you know, because, right. I know so many friends, especially when COVID first started, there was a lot of anxiety. What's happening? We don't, I can't sleep. And so a lot of people started listening to a meditation app to sleep as part of the.
There are a ton of them out there.
Yeah, that's right.
There's a million of them out there right now. And a lot of the manufacturers who have adjustable bed base or sleep trackers or, you know, adjustable sleep surfaces, they all are jumping into the app game too. So it tells you how well you slept, how well you didn't sleep, which during COVID, that has been an issue for so many people. So it's fascinating to see that. Whereas in years past, it's all been about price and what the specs were and, you know, what's in this mattress and how this mattress different. Consumers get over the spec talk, you know, that's all industry jargon. I think when RSAs and designers can speak more to your quality of sleep, why this matters, I think it's a better conversation to have that builds long-time loyal consumers that keep coming back.
I'd like to switch gears for a second. Can you talk to manufacturers a great deal? And one of the concerns that I am starting to hear for the first time is as manufacturers catch up with these backlogs, they have a lot of orders that were placed with the expectation that only 50% of the order would be fulfilled, right? So particularly with some large retailers, they didn't expect to get 100%, so they ordered 2 and 3x what they needed. And now those orders are out there and they're going to be fulfilled. But when they come back, there was too much order. And that means that somebody's going to be stuck with a bunch of inventory. Have you hearing any of that from manufacturers?
You know, I really have not heard that at this point in time. I think one of the concerns that some of us had was, okay, if it's something that's not custom, and of course a lot of our clients are custom, but those that aren't, maybe if I need dining room and I order 3 from you and I can't get them for 6 months, but I find somebody else that says that they can do it maybe in 5, that I order them from both places and then I cancel the orders when I get the first ones. I think what we've heard so far is there's been very few of the cancellations coming that was what we were really concerned with. I think with the shortage of inventory right now, if you ordered 4 and you really don't think you needed but 2, you're pretty not thinking real smart. You better be keeping those other 2 because you can probably sell them if you got them. So I don't think that's going to be an issue now. And I think everybody's been caught so short on inventory that now it's really, if you can get product. I mean, it's like I said about market samples. I mean, October market, I had a client that constantly has to go through and dilly-dally with people about, did you get a 20% discount or a 50% discount? And he said, you know, one of the guys that normally nicks me on all this stuff just walked through and said, I'll take that and that and that and that, and never asked the price. I mean, it was like, just give me the product. So I haven't heard that. I think there's been concern that we may get cancellations, but I've really not seen a lot of that conflict so far anyway.
If I were a manufacturer, I wouldn't worry about it that much, because if you cancel it, somebody else is going to want it.
As long as the demand stays, right? Until those backlogs go away, I don't think it's probably much of an issue. So I'm curious, and Kimberly and Mary Liz, this is more for the two of you. I had heard early on in the pandemic that people were having trouble getting product. Mary Liz, you said you ordered and ordered and ordered, but in some cases, people were cut off by their traditional suppliers, or they weren't able to get enough. Have you been more active or more, let's say, broad-based in who you buy from? Are there new people that you've added to your shopping list that were not on your pre-COVID shopping list?
I'm always adding new people to my shopping list. We've stuck with our regular vendors, the key vendors, because we've built relationships with them. And if there's goods to be gotten, I'm going to get them. We pay our bills early. We're a desirable customer, you know, unless you know me personally, then it's different, but they like selling to us. So we keep a good flow with them. My biggest thing has just trying to project, you know, how much of this product will I sell in the next 6 months? But I started buying last March or April to keep enough goods to hold us through Christmas. So stuff that I would usually receive in September or October, I was taking in May and June, and just our warehouse and our back room was terrifyingly full of stuff, but we sold through it all, and we had the cash to take that. So I'm always looking for new vendors, but I'm very loyal to the people who have been good to us for a long time.
Yeah, similar to what Mary Liz said. Initially, when it all started, of course, I was just worried that my main suppliers were going to go under. You know, when it first started, I thought, well, this is it. We're doomed. We're never going to work again, you know. And it was like, wait a minute, what? Business is thriving? Wait, this is amazing. So we have now had to increase the number of suppliers we have, just by virtue of the fact there's one guy can only do so much. So we've given him all the business we can give him. He's completely backlogged until September. And so we're just having to try and find new people. And the happy result of that is we've increased the number of suppliers and vendors we have. But I always do try to keep key suppliers happily employed with my company. So I have a relationship with them. So when I need a favor, I can call them and say, you know, my bad, I ordered the wrong blah, blah, blah. Do you have anything similar? And I could, you know, put on a truck tomorrow. So it's a fine balance, right?
Yeah.
All right, I'm just going to have a little kind of a quick fun thing here. I'm going to hand you each a magic wand, and I want you to tell me what you're going to do with it for your business. Ken, if I give you a magic wand, what are you going to do? What could you or would you do with it to help you do what you do better?
For my business or furniture business?
Your call, your choice.
Well, if I had furniture business right now in the manufacturing distribution side, which is where I play most of my games, it would be people. Because we've just got massive problems with that. And our industry has been one that we have an older generation working, and for a number of years, especially in the case goods, when everything went overseas, everybody said, you better get out. Son, daughter, don't ever get in this business. It's an awful business. And so we've got a new generation coming along that's taking a while to understand that it's not a bad business. And it's certainly what's left of it here. It's certainly not a dirty business like it maybe once was in the case goods world. So people is a major problem. We've been very fortunate in my business in that we've been getting people, but you know, we're getting them coming out of school and they're needing jobs. versus the folks out there in the regular world, or some of them are not wanting jobs, or if they are, they're trying to get something different in manufacturing or distribution.
All right, Mary Liz, what are you going to do with your magic wand?
People is pretty high for us too. And it's a combination of, in the retail store, we have a good staff, but there are some key positions I'd like to fill, and finding the right person for more skilled positions is a big project. So if you could magic wand me a couple of people, that would be great.
And a chef.
And lower freight.
I'm sorry, my magic wand's not powerful enough for that one. Kimberly, magic wand?
Oh, my magic wand is super, super powerful. This is a big ask. I would like to wave it over all interior design professionals, and they would stop pressuring suppliers and vendors to get them products for less money, and put all of that attention and effort into educating clients about the value of what they're purchasing and why it really matters when you're buying something local, how many mouths are fed by making that slightly more expensive, relatively speaking, purchase, right? So just put all of your effort, stop trying to get a mattress for, $8.99, never buy a sofa for $4.99. The starting price point is $2,000 or $3,000, and here's why. Because this local store is going to stay in business, and they're going to send their kids to a school that's local, and they're going to go and visit this restaurant that's local. We once had this client who was a custom home builder in Nova Scotia, and he wanted us to fly. We did, in fact, fly to China to purchase all of his furniture and lighting. And I had a big, huge fight with him. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. You want people in Nova Scotia to buy your custom homes, but you won't go into their furniture store and buy their furniture. Like, it doesn't make sense. Anyway, it was a disaster, FYI, don't do that. Didn't work. We picked everything. We were there a week. We picked everything. What arrived was completely different than what we picked. And then he wanted me to fix it. I'm like, such a bummer. God, I don't know what to tell you. Let's go buy local, huh? Anyway, it's a big wand.
All right, Sheila, fix the mattress industry in one stroke.
Oh my gosh, I would right size logistics, everything from the cost to ship components, products from all over the world, because we all know container prices are crazy right now. I will, and tie into that, truck drivers, finding truck drivers and getting drivers to transport product from factories to stores to designers, and then to get those delivery people to take them into consumers' homes. I just think that the whole logistics piece right now is upside down, topsy-turvy, and needs some help.
It is, and that, the truck driver shortage in 2015, I believe it was estimated that we were short 100,000 truck drivers. And the average age was 54, and nothing has happened in the intervening 6 years to lower the average age or to increase the number. So, so I'm going to use my magic wand very parochially just to address that point. I want to go back to being 18 and get a job driving a truck for $125,000 a year. Because when I came out of school, that just was not available. And I think young folks are missing some opportunities. And I think to Ken's point, there are really good manufacturing jobs available. There are really good trade jobs available. I think this notion that the only way to success is a 4-year degree is as outmoded as it was correct maybe a generation or two ago. And I think, improving trade education, I think, is something that would be probably my magic wand, which would help Mary Liz and would help you. And sorry, Kimberly, it wouldn't.
It would. Are you kidding? Plumbers, electricians, drivers. We use them all. And God, what an honorable profession. Like, how incredible. Yeah, there's just such missed opportunity there for young people. I guess we have to make some kind of reality show and make it look glamorous again. I don't know.
That's it. Well, I really want to thank you guys. Before we kind of wrap things up, are there any parting thoughts that you'd like to leave the audience with today, since people are taking time to tune in? Mary Liz, any parting thoughts?
You know, there's really no better business to be in than helping people have beautiful homes. And I am delighted to be part of it. When somebody comes back and says, I love walking into my living room, thank you for helping us. It's a great feeling to make people live someplace nice or help them live someplace nice.
Absolutely. Kimberly, parting thoughts.
Ooh, never listen to your client when they say they want to spend X number of dollars on a dining room table. Show them the dining room table that they should have and convince them to purchase the higher price table.
You must have met my wife. Ken, parting thoughts?
I think you guys are hitting on the right points. I've just always had trouble believing, again, I'm an accountant, but I have a hard time understanding how we sell everything on price and nobody knows what it should cost. And I've got stories that I can tell you about in talking to newspaper people and people across the country about, retailers saying, I can't take another price increase. And I'm going, what are you supposed to do? Our prices are going up at the manufacturing level. Somebody's got to do it, and we can't sell these. Y'all keep referring to $4.99 sofas. I think we still got some $2.99 ones out there. I mean, that's just nuts. So I think you're all hitting on it. Unfortunately, most of y'all are selling to a little better clientele than some, so you can tell the story. I know it's harder at the lower end, but it's just a shame that we try to sell it all on price instead of talking about the value.
Sheila?
Along those same lines, and I hate to sound like a parrot, but wrap your products in stories. Make them real life, make them make sense to your consumer. Find out why he or she is there in the first place, and then find a solution. You have it in your store. It's just a different way of communicating.
So here's my parting thought. Keep things in perspective. For all the challenges, supply chain, freight, price increases, there has not been a better time in a generation to be in the home furnishings business. People are going to look back on this and say, wow, that was a golden age. People love their homes. Enjoy it and make the most of it. So thanks, folks, for joining us here today. Thank you, IMC, for putting this on and for putting this great group.
Thank you for having us.
Good job moderating.
Bill.
I just love to gab.
Two thumbs.
I just want to thank you all again for joining us. It definitely gave, I think, all of our viewers a true insight as to where things have been, where they are now, and where they're going, and how to plan accordingly. Just a very frank discussion, which I think everyone at this point really appreciates and is yearning for. So I just want to thank you from International Market Centers, and thank you to everyone who joined us today. And we hope that you are staying healthy and safe and have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.